Shalom, this is a GMS quick hit. There was a question that was asked of me on this video. Russia was never a part of the beast Roman Empire. GMS history lesson. I really didn't go into any scriptures. I pretty much just put in the word history of Russia. It gave me a lot of solid history. The origins of the Russian Empire goes back to the mid 800s AD, in the Roman Empire. Esau's Roman Empire was completely destroyed, done away with, and Jake took over the Roman Empire, which became the Byzantine Empire. You all know the history. So what was interesting about this video is when you read this, if you go to Google, put in history of Rome, history of Russia, it says there was a mixture, like the culture, the religion was a mixture from the Byzantine Empire, which proves that the original Russians had to be Jake. I mean, the scriptures the history tells you that when you go into the history of Russia or the Russian people, that they're first mentioned as being Scythians, and Scythians are in the scriptures. The Apostle Paul mentioned the barbarians and the Scythians, that they can be delivered. So we know that the Scythians were not Edomites. So the original Russians are Jake. And communism, to put away the religion, came about during the time of the Bolshevik Revolution, as I have said in this video. Communism pushed out Christianity, the Byzantine, version of Christianity, which you got a lot of icons that come out of Russia, because Jake was all up in Russia. Anyway, this is the question. Where is it? Okay. Apostle Shalom, could you explain 2 Ezra 6 plus 21, please? And I believe he means 6 verse 21. And this is a very simple one. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Wrong precept. 2 Ezra 6:21, and the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman with a child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. Now this is talking about now, and that's in one word, that's talking about a preemie. You have children that are born, that are come out the womb of the mother, born, 5, 6 months in, 7 months in, before the 9-month, 10-month period. This is what I want to do. I want to go where it says context. Okay, I may have to go up higher, but all right, let's see what the 18th verse says. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. And that's talking about now. This what Ezra saw is what's happening now. Just like John on the Isle of Patmos. So it says, and we'll begin to make, you got to read this whole chapter, which I'm not going to do. And we'll begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness. We know that's talking about Esau, number one, and the nations, Psalms 83. And when the affliction of Zion, the Israelites, shall be fulfilled. Hey, I was watching this one video. I believe the guy's name is Nick Johnson. He appears to be an Edomite. He goes around the country. He does like little documentaries. I get into it, and he did like I guess it's a 12-part documentary, like an amateur documentary, of Mississippi, just showing how the people in Mississippi live, and they mostly Jake, and they live in dirt poor, man. I mean, dirt poor. Dirt poor. They said the average income, if you work at a job, you pretty much make, I believe, you gross, because Esau takes taxes out of that. I think it was $250 a week. What the fuck you gonna do with $250 a week? And they were showing the houses. The house. There was one church that was nice, looked like a nice looking church. They had some money. They built up this church, and the church was just, it was abandoned. It was like the roof fell in, and it was abandoned. And they said the governor, they can get money from the federal government, but his thing is, no, we ain't taking no handout. So that's a Edomite. So you gotta, get up, pull yourself up by your own straps and so forth, your own suspenders or your pants, however the saying goes. But they were Jake. Those Jakes were dirt poor, man. I mean, goddamn, third world poor. And then this guy Nick Johnson, if I remember, if his name is right, he was talking to a couple of older Jakes, but they were talking about how happy they were and how great this place is, because you're repping your set, so to speak. So he said, I'm surprised that they say happy things and they're so happy about it. Yeah, because the Israelites, we take affliction like it's nothing, man. What does it say in Job? Merely paraphrasing, he eateth affliction like a man eats bread. I think that's the term. I'm not going to go to it. Somebody can put it in. It says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away, what world? Esau's world. So in order for the world of the kingdom to come, Esau's got to be knocked off of his throne, so to speak. That's how it goes in boxing. You got a guy that's a boxer. He won the middleweight title. He defended maybe 10, 11 times. He's getting a little older. He's long in the tooth, so to speak. He's past his prime. And then you got this guy coming up. And usually that's how the current champ loses their title, when they get old and they fight. But sometimes they retire. They'll retire. They say, look, I'm past my prime. It ain't the spirit in me no more. I made millions of dollars, so I'm retiring. So he retires the belt. So what happens is they'll take the number one contender and the number two contender, and they'll fight for the title. Most of the time, a boxer's pride won't allow him to say, I'm long in the tooth. I still got it. And then he gets his ass whooped, and then he loses the title. So that's what's going to happen to Esau. Esau want to go out with a fight. He want to fight and scratch. He don't want to give up the throne. He don't want to give up the belt. It's strap season, baby. So it goes on to say, shall be finished. Who's going to be finished? Esau. This is why you got guys like Vocab that say Esau is done away with. That's such a cop out. Anytime Esau, Edom comes up, oh, Esau done away with. So basically, we don't got to talk about Esau no more, because he's done away with. Esau is not even here. So why would the Most High speak about the Edomites and Esau so much in the, in Genesis and throughout the Old Testament and in the New Testament and prophecy, like in Obadiah? Why would he, and Ezekiel, and he's written Isaiah 34. Why would the Most High mention him so much in prophecy if he's done away with, if there's no more Edomites? We know that that's bullshit. See, at one time, the white man's bullshit used to work on Jake. When I say that, I mean Esau's crap used to work. Jake just blindly followed that. When we were all kids, we actually thought that so-called Jesus was a white man. And when we pictured the Most High, we pictured the Most High as being a white man. You watch the movies, it was reaffirmed in our minds that, the night before Easter, they would have movies about so-called Jesus and the 12, and they were all white actors. And to show you that they understand the truth, they had Simon the Canaanite, which he came from the land of Canaan, was a so-called black man, because they know the original Canaanites were black people. They know that. Even in the movie, The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, Cecil B. DeMille made that movie. Now, he made a version of it back in 1921, and he had Rex Ingram. Rex Ingram, he was the guy that played in the movie Green Pastures. He played the Most High. Well, his role in the movie, the Ten Commandments, the original one in 1921, if you look it up, his role was a Hebrew slave. Well, wait a minute, why would they get a black man to play a Hebrew slave if they believe that Hebrews are white? Because Cecil B. DeMille knew that he knew that we were Israelites. That's why they made a movie called Green Pastures. The whole cast was Jake. And Rex Ingram, he played the Most High, and he played some other characters. I believe he played Ezra, but I know he played the Most High. And then he had Michael the Archangel, which that dude was super dark black. And he kept going to the Lord, saying, "You want me to blow the trumpet now?" He said, "No, not yet, Michael, not yet." But the interesting thing about that movie was the guy that played the Most High looked like the Most High. He had a white afro and he had a beard. And back then, afros wasn't even around. Back in the 30s, 34, there was no such thing as no afro. Jake wasn't rocking no afro. They either had bald heads or they had the conch in their hair to make their hair look straight. Hey, it's the same thing going on now. Now Jake got waves, like in the DMV. The thing now is waves. You put the stocking cap on with some grease or whatever type of grease that you put on there, and you put the stocking cap on. Yes, you brothers in Israel doing it too. Well, that's a big thing in the DMV. What is that? Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, meaning that area, Philly. See, up here in the north, up here in New York, not too many people have, wear the wave caps, the do-rags. And they do that for the galleys. Jake with the long hair, the long dreads, and that's big in the IUIC, and that's clearly going out of order. Man's not to have long hair. So let me get back into this. Please forgive me. It says, "Then will I show these tokens, these signs. The book shall be open before the firmament." What does that mean? The book shall be open before the firmament. The firmament, what's in the firmament? Satellites. When we open up the books and read these scriptures and go on YouTube, the real ministry comes through the web, the www, the World Wide Web, through a satellite. So when we teach, the signal goes up into the firmament, which goes to a satellite, and is beamed all around the planet. So anybody that goes to the channel that I'm teaching on will get to see. So if 1 billion people go to my channel, 1 billion people will watch the video all at the same time. Hey, the scriptures say they shall all see together, right? And they shall see all there it is. And they shall see all together. So what does that mean? The book shall be open before the firmament, and they, the Israelites, shall all see all together. And like it says, you shall not go over all the cities until I become back. That's in Matthew 10, I believe it's 25. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. That's talking about a preemie. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months, 5, 6 months, 7 months. That's a preemie. And they shall live and be raised up, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And that's happening right now, but it's happening by design. See, we're finding out that it's happening by design. And see, Jake doesn't see that. Jake doesn't know. See, there's a thing going on called look up 4th generation war and 5th generation war. 4th and 5th generation war is war with technology, but it's also a series of how can I say? Let me use the word false flag. You can use the word false flag, and it's a series of events that's destroying the infrastructure of a certain country or a certain place like America. These different food processing plants and different train derailments. Oh, you notice there's no more train derailments. There's a handful of trains derailments for a period of about a month and a half, and then you don't hear it no more. Well, that's also a part of fourth generation and 5th generation war, where you blow up things and people are not concerned about it because they tell in the news, they'll say, oh, it was an accident. We don't know how that happened. But they still declaring war against you. And the enemy is within. It says, because the American people, for the most part, are not, sophisticated enough in their mind to understand what's really going on. They don't understand conspiracy theories. They don't understand that. That concept doesn't work. Even Bishop Nathaniel said back, I believe that was 2014 when he was going into the MOTB, he said a conspiracy theorist is generally a nut. Yeah, because the elite claim to be a nut. Just like they did the same thing with the natural paths, the homeopathic medicine, which is healing people with herbs and eating the proper diet. The Rockefellers wanted to get their medical science in there, which is modern science today. So what they did was they called these people quacks. That's where the word came from. The word quack is somebody that uses something other outside of pharmaceuticals. So they did the same thing with somebody that's a conspiracy theorist. And those guys are nuts. Even ISUPK said that. He said, though, anytime we bring up the charagma, look, this is going to be a long one, okay? I thought it's going to be quick. It's going to be a long one. So it's running into the video that I wanted to do after this one. I wanted to make this short, but guess what? This is going to run into the long one. It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound. Now, we are the trumpet. When you hear the news, that's a form of the trumpet. So when we prophesy of things to come, we're blowing the trumpet. That's in Joel 2. So what are the tunes? What tunes are we playing? What song are we singing? Revelation 14. They shall sing a new song that no one can understand but them, the 144,000, or the elect. The song that we're singing are these prophecies. And see, if you're not of the elect, when we sing the part where it says the MOTB, you're not going to get it. You're going to say, what? That don't make no sense. Make that line there make sense. It don't make no sense to me. Y'all tone deaf. That's what they're saying. The MOTB is part of the prophecy. So this is going to run me into another a video that I was watching last night that was put up by the men of the DC camp, GMS DC camp, led by Monaghan. So I went up in there and I put a couple of comments. But you know what I did? Because the individual, Chuck whatever, which I said that's Ayathan, which he's suspended from the IUIC, and I know why. He's suspended for a year for something that he did. So he's on there saying, why y'all always going to the MOTB? Why don't y'all going to the law? Which he should be the last guy to tell anybody to keep any laws, being what he did. He should be the last one mentioning the law out of his mouth. He should be hoping the law never comes up. But the main reason why he's keeps getting at us about the why are we so much into the MOTB, because it's about to come. When John the Baptist was on the scene, did they compare him to the Messiah, one of the prophets? They compared him to being one of the Messiah, because they knew that the Messiah was going to come at that time. They were patiently waiting for the Messiah. So when John came on the scene, they said he's got to be the Messiah. And they asked him, "Are you the Messiah?" He said, "No." "Are you one of them prophets?" "No." He said, "Are you Elijah?" Because they knew if Elijah came, the Lord was came right behind Elijah. So they said, "Are you Elijah?" He said, "No." He said, "Then what are you then?" I'm merely paraphrasing. He said, "I am one crying in the wilderness," which was a fulfillment of prophecy. That's something that Elijah would say. I'm one crying in the wilderness. So he told him that he was Elijah the prophet, but at the same time he didn't. By that statement proved that he was Elijah the prophet. So who had to straighten that whole thing up as to who he was? Yahushua. Because the people knew that John the Baptist was a man come from the Most High. And the people knew that Yahushua was the Messiah to come. And even the scribes and Pharisees knew that, but they were jealous, but some of them didn't know. Nicodemus knew, others knew. A lot of the scribes and Pharisees followed Yahushua. That's in Acts 15. A lot of the priests followed Yahushua. That's in, I believe that's Acts 6. So you had a lot of people that accepted the fact that that was the Messiah. But he came based upon prophecy. He fulfilled prophecy. So the main prophecy that's getting ready to come to pass is the MOTB, then the destruction and us getting beamed up, and then the kingdom. So that's why we keep teaching it. Back 2,000 years ago, they kept saying, "Are you the Messiah? Is he the Messiah? Maybe he's a Messiah. Is a Messiah going to come on the scene today?" And they thought that when the Messiah came on the scene, he was going to come on the scene with great power. Even when he died and rose, they said in Acts 1, they said, "Are you going to come back and restore?" In other words, take down the Romans and restore the kingdom to Israel. What does that mean, Vocab Malone? At this time, are you going to restore the kingdom to Israel? Vocab would say, well, that really means the body of believers. No, it don't. That's why nobody listens to you. Nobody takes you serious. Even your own followers are leaving you. At that time, shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Thy foes shall be of thy household. You can throw that in there. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still. Droughts, shortages, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So that goes into you know, well, that happens in the West. You can't wash your car, you can't mow your lawn. I mean, you can't, use a sprinkler to sprinkle your lawn. Maybe for 1 hour, and if it's beyond an hour, from 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and if it's beyond that, you get a ticket. Because I was out there in the West, I was out there in Colorado, and they had you couldn't only use water to do your lawn and wash your car. You couldn't really do that. You can't do that because there was water shortages out there. So that happens throughout the country. So anyway, I went on the page to show that they did the GMSDC did, and I put some comments because the guy kept saying, "Why are you always in the prophecy? Why are you always in the same prophecy? You talking about the mark of the beast? You should be talking about the Lord." Like I said, you the last one that should be mentioning anything about the Lord. And some of you brothers know what I mean. So what I did was, let me see if I brought it up. Okay, what I did was I put in the word prophecy, right? Look at this. Prophecy occurs as 90 times and 78 verses in the King James Version. So I started cherry picking. I said, wait a minute, we're not supposed to prophesy? Look at all these times the word prophecy comes up. And I didn't even go into the word prophet. In the Old Testament, first time the word prophet is mentioned is in Numbers. There it is, Ezekiel. What time are we living in? Are we in a time for the king to sit on the throne? What king is sitting on the throne that's a king of Israel? Oh, so and such, he's the king. See, he's over there sitting on his throne with his crown. We're not in the time of kings, man. Hosea 3 verse 5 tell you that. Will be without a matter of fact, let me go to it so I don't botch it up. Let me go to it so I can botch it up. The only thing Israel has is the prophets. That's why what do prophets do? They prophesy. They keep saying the same thing. What's the main prophecies that we're talking about? The end of the society. But before you get all excited about it, there's a major prophecy that got to come to pass that you got to suffer. And some of us will be put to death for it. Hosea 3. You can really read the whole chapter. It's a short chapter. It says what? For the children of Israel shall be so by many days without a king. So is this, well, that's talking about during the time of king. Nope. It says there's going to be a time where we're not going to have a king. We lost the northern kingdom and the king was taken away by the Assyrians. The Babylonians took down Judah. So there was no king sitting on no throne. You had Zerubbabel, which he was a governor of Judah. He wasn't a king. So, from the time, we can start from the New Testament time, even before that, during the time of the Maccabees, we didn't have a king. During the time the Persians and the Medes, we didn't have a king. We had leaders and governors and so forth, but we didn't have a king at that time. Even up until the time of Yahushua, there was no king. The only king was Edomite, the Herodian king, which he wasn't even an Israelite. He was a Tyr. So from that time, that span of history, there was not a king sitting on the throne. And then they made mockery saying this is the king of the Jews. Oh, really? Let's put that up. Let's hang him. Let's see if the king get off that cross. So during the time of Yahushua, we didn't have a king. During the time of, you had the Byzantine empire, 325, Constantine the Great, Constantine the First sitting as a king, but he wasn't the king of Israel. He was the king over his realm, which he wasn't really pushing Israel. You got to go into the history, but some of them knew that they were Israelites because they kept pushing, putting up icons of Jake's being the Lord and all that. So there really wasn't no king of Israel, even to this time. So we're talking about well over 2,000 years, we are without a king, even to this day. Ain't none of you camps going around saying, a certain particular campaign saying, well, see, maybe Nate, maybe he's going to start saying he's a king. He came in on that horse. So he's liking himself unto a king, but he's not the king. He's not the king. When the prophecy fulfilled, Yahushua is coming as the king. He's going to have many crowns on his head. It says the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Kairos, Kairos, meaning Lord of Lords. Malak, Shah Malak, King of Kings. But we're going to be kings. So we're not in the time of kings. So you got any Israelite saying that I'm King Jaffe, Jophir of Israel, then you laugh at the guy. So what time are we living in? We're living in the time of the prophets. Okay? We're living in the time of the prophets. We're not living in the time of the kings. There's no king that you can point to. We're not living in the time of the generals. We're living in the time of the prophets. So it says, for the children or sons of Yeshua shall abide many days without a king, and even to this day, and without a prince. What is a prince? The heir of a king. And without a sacrifice, because we really ain't sacrificing stuff. So the main sacrifice was when the Lord came. And without an image, and without an ephah, and without a teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return. That's talking about now. That's talking about now. Starting with Abba. You got this thing with the IUIC and the Passover that they had, where they said, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, Bishop Nathaniel, and I call you General Nathaniel, the general, so he's General Nathaniel, God's old name. What was I going to say? It said, afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their power. Oh, so they're saying, one brother said, basically he implied that we don't know who you are, but you either Peter or Elijah. They said, we're not sure. It's narrowed down to two people. Bishop Nathaniel is either Peter of the 12, or Elijah. Definitely has to be one of them two. Narrow down to one of them two. Well, then we gotta go back to the 1 West days. Isn't Marshall supposed to be Peter? And see, Yeshua did that too. One of the 7 Yeshua, when that split came, he been saying for years that he was the apostle, but I'm Paul, and that's all. I'm Paul. Well, when Marshall left, he said, I'm Peter now. He did say that. I wasn't there when he said it, but individuals told me that he started calling himself Peter. So now, if he's calling himself Peter, that meant that he believed that Marshall was Peter. He said, yeah, Marshall is Peter. Oh, being that he left, he fell off, I'm Peter now. But you said the Spirit came to you and beat the hell out of you and told you that you were Paul. You said that. But now you're Peter? It's very dangerous. Like they say, oh, Tahar, you say you're Paul. I'm saying it right now. I'm not Paul. I don't know who the hell I am. Oh, well, your men are saying it. What men? I even say it as a joke because it was pushed out. And I said one video, oh, I might just beat Paul. I said that as a joke. And then Vocab played on that. And see what the hard said. I might just, it was obvious. I said it with a smile on my face. I threw it out there for y'all. So it says, afterward shall the children or the sons of Yasha'Allah return. What does it mean to return? Not to the land, but return to their truth, to who they are. Like the word mention in the Hebrew, name, make no mention of any name other than our Lord. That's in the law. Mention meaning to put up in remembrance and to reverence. Because I can say Allah, I can say Jesus Christ. You know, I can say Jesus Christ and Allah until I'm blue in the face. I can say Buddha. But if you pray, there's people that actually pray, oh, Jesus this and oh, Jesus that. Return, the word is shawab, to return, turn back, to turn back, return. What are we returning to? With our minds, we're returning back to refresh. Yeah, because we had it one time, though you once knew this, to bring back, to show a turning away or a turning to turn away, face, or turn toward, to turn against. The Most High turned against us, so we're returning back to Him. So this is definitely talking about now. It says, afterward shall the sons of Yasha'Allah, these are the brothers that are, and it's funny, I had a dream. I just woke up from the dream about an hour or so ago. And I had a dream that we was out there teaching, and there was like other camps, like the block that we were on. I'm not familiar with the block, but the block that we were on, we were teaching, but there was like another camp down the street that was not a part of us, and they were teaching. And then there was another camp like a block away, but I couldn't identify whether they were IUIC, you know, any of those groups. But I noticed them, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, I believe I saw a priest, priest Danyala. He was out there. If I'm not mistaken, I'm positive it was him. There were like certain faces that I knew, you know, but there were so many people out there, and you know, we were speaking, and then right down the block there was another different group. Then there was some guys that he was just by himself teaching on another corner. But it was all like central, that area. There had to be 5 or 6 different camps, but they were all different camps. But like I said, wasn't necessarily ISUPK or GMS or you know, IUIC or Wi-Fi or Sakari. We didn't recognize what camps they were part of, but there were different camps. So we were kind of, and then at the end of the dream, I walked over to this brother because he was speaking so loud. He sounded like he had a sound device, but he didn't. And he sounded like he was like 8 feet tall. And he was roaring, and then we went over him, and it was like a regular sized Jake. And we went over to the brother, and we kind of saluted him, you know, for being out there by himself. And it was a weird dream, but it was a dream. I hadn't had a dream about being out in the camp in years. But like I said, that's a wake-up call, because a lot of these brothers, like I will say this about IUIC, but we said this is IUIC. Most High gonna break IUIC up. And if he breaks up GMS, so be it. If he breaks it up, so be it. Because the Most High is gathering the elect. This is the sifting process. So We have said this in the past. We continue to say this, that at all these different camps, this is our personal belief. It remains to be seen that at all these different camps, you're going to have sincere brothers in these various camps. You're going to have the elect. So it says, after would shall the children or the sons of Israel return and seek Yahweh their power and David their king, and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. We're in the latter days. So there's going to be one leader, then there's going to be leader number one, leader number two, leader number three. Now, we don't know how this is going to happen. We don't know if, like I said, we don't know exactly the details of how this is going to happen. But David is going to be back in his position and back in his lot. As Daniel said, Daniel's going to be in his lot. Jeremiah is going to be in his lot. Isaiah is going to be in his lot. Most High is only dealing with the prophets. Most High is only dealing with the prophets right now. He's not dealing with kings. He's not dealing with generals. He's not dealing with bishops. He's dealing with the prophets. And so you got the apostles, you got the prophets, you got teachers, you got evangelists. What does an evangelist do? They do pretty much what a prophet does. They push his word. So our job is to push this word, not to sit on a throne and have people bow down to us, because none of us are kings. Ultimately, we will all be kings. So before that happens, the MOTB has to take place. So now, I even said on the comment board on the video last night that I said he's saying that to protect Bishop Nate or Nathaniel, because he knows in his heart of hearts that the charagma, the MOTB, is coming to pass, because we talked about this and he accepted it, but then he reversed himself. And he knows it is coming to pass, and he knows that Bishop Nathaniel is going to kind of look like a fool, because for years, your own mouth shall condemn you. For years, you've been saying, it's on record, that you've been saying that, Revelation 13, 16, 17 is talking about sin. And then they did the last video they did, they said, we body bag. You didn't body bag us. You didn't body bag us. We didn't budge. You didn't body bag us. And then them guys that are following them, they say, yeah, we body bagged them bums. And that's gonna make you really look like a fool, because you're gonna have to eat all those words that came out of your mouth. Like I said, I believe you got sincere brothers in all the camps. This is my personal belief, and they probably seen it, and they're probably that's why he keeps bringing it up. He keeps bringing it up because a lot of people are window shopping. That's their word. That's the word that they use, the term that they use. Yeah, we know about you window shoppers. Yeah, you going to GMS, and then part of you saying, well, what if it's true? Well, guess what? It is true. What we're saying is the truth. What we're saying is the truth. That before the destruction come, before the deliverance come, that we're gonna have to suffer. The whole world's gonna have to suffer that charagma. And what kills body bags? That whole the woman dressed in scarlet and pearls and so forth, which is a Babylon the Great sitting on the beast, that said she had a cup in her hand and a name written on the forehead. That's the the charagma. It's not the charagma, because if that's the case, it says she's going to be destroyed. Revelation 14:9. Start at 9. You can start at 8. Revelation 14:9. Let's start at. Anybody that takes it is going to be destroyed. Okay, so she'll be destroyed. But didn't she give that cup to a thing called fornication with all those nations? Did not those nations partake of the sip of that wine or that cup? So my question is this: What nations are going to be standing afar off for fear of a torment? Because they all took it. So why ain't they suffering Revelation 14:9 on down? Why ain't they suffering it? It doesn't make sense. These guys are reaching for straws, man, and they're looking bad because we're laughing at you, man. We're laughing at you. It speaks about in the parable in Luke about them that build a house on sand. Let me see if I can find that. Give me a second here. I know it's in Luke. I believe it should be in Luke 16, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see something. Let me try something. Okay, boom, it's not there too many times. Okay, this is it. But I thought it was in, there's one in Luke. It says the same thing. Okay, let me see something. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, so what came up was Mark 7:26, but I wanted Luke 6. I thought it was 16. Luke 6, verse 47. Let me do it this way. I should have just clicked on it, but see, what we got is a strong foundation. You know, when we say, like if you build a house and somebody criticizes your house, that house ain't the strong, using cheap materials. And we're constantly showing them, nope, look, we got this at the best material for this and the best for that and the best stones. So we got receipts that we're using the best materials. Nowadays, when they build these houses, they build houses cheap. That's why back, if you go, there's certain houses that were built 100 years ago and they're sturdy as a rock. These houses today, a flood come along, a strong rain, and just damages the houses. Everything is cheap. So that's what Bishop Nathaniel built up. He built up a house with a lot of flaws in it. When I say flaw, flaws, defects, weak. There's a lot of holes in it, a lot of openings. Like he recently said that the lake of fire is a eternal hell, which clearly is not true. I don't know where, and nobody attacked it. Nobody attacked it, and that's somewhat new based upon my understanding, because that wasn't taught in One West. Yeshua used to bring it up, and used to get cut down all the time. Oh, and then the Tazadakia brought that back up about the hell thing. You're going to burn in hell and all that, and that's why he's in the spirit world. Most High took him out on Fool's Day because he was a fool, April Fool's Day. And that's why we haven't changed what we said. The first video that we did on the MOTB, we haven't changed it. We haven't changed it. Why? Because we are the prophets. We believe that we're the prophets. So you teach that the lake of fire is a place that you spiritually, your spirit burns forever and ever, which is a bullshit. Which is complete bullshit. Well, how do you know? What if you find out that we're 100% sure that it's bullshit? The lake of fire represents Babylon the Great being destroyed by fire. What else? Well, the main one is a charagma. That's why he keeps bringing it up, because you got them window shoppers. And what are you going to tell the people? What are you going to tell the people when when they actually set up the stations and you actually have to get it. What are you going to tell those people? You're going to have an Edomite come on the news and they're going to show you the charagma and they're going to say you're going to have to get it in order to buy and sell. If you don't get it, you can't buy and sell. And everything's coming in steps. CBDC, what's this thing? Fed Now, which is CBDC. Digital, everything gonna be digital. Zimbabwe just set up they set up a gold-backed CBDC. These other countries, Nigeria, they're doing away with the paper dollar, and they're giving the people this digital currency, CBDC, and they're going to get the whole world. Everything's going to be digital. Everything's going to be digital. Everything's going to be in your smartphone. No more wallets. I mean, no more credit cards. Everything's going to be in your smartphone through an app, and that app is going to go into you. We say this boldly because we know it's the truth. So you're going to have to explain to your congregation. And if your congregation is not, they don't see what you see, then they're going to leave and they're going to come to us. I said, moreover, whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. So what does it mean, come unto me and do my sayings? Meaning follow the book. Behold, I come in the volume of the book and spoken to me. It says, he is like a man which built a house. So if we're saying we're the Israelites, you are the Israelites, there's a 12-tribe sign. You got to have fringes on your garment. We have as you grow into this thing, because we don't push the law on people. We tell you that there are laws, and eventually when you grow into this thing, you start to keep the laws. The Apostle Paul, he didn't push the laws on the people. He pushed some of the laws. All you got to do is read Acts chapter 15 from the first verse. Read on down. You had the priests and the scribes, and the scribes that believed, and the priests that believed. They said, well, you ain't going to make it in paradise. You're not going to be accepted in the kingdom unless you're circumcised. So they had what's called a Jerusalem council. So Peter came to the conclusion at 12, Peter and James, and said that they don't have to circumcise themselves. But wait a minute, that's a law. Why did he say that? Because these were Israelites coming back into Israel. That's why he said what he had to say in Colossians 2:16. Don't let no man judge you in meats and drinks and the respect of the high holy day. Don't worry about that, which is a shadow of the things to come, which is going to be in the kingdom. Galatians, the 3rd chapter. The Paul called the Galatians, oh, foolish Galatians. How can you start in the spirit? And I'm merely paraphrasing, I'm not going to go to it. But now you're doing things by the law, being justified by the law. Romans 9, what is that, around the 31st, 32nd, 30th verse, 31st, 32nd verse, around there. It said that we're not justified by the law. James 2, it says if you're guilty of breaking one law, you're guilty of all. So, and I'm not saying not to keep the law, because as you grow and you become rooted, then you start to keep the law. The first, you come in, and I said this before, you come into this truth, you're new in this thing, you accept the fact that you're an Israelite. 2 weeks later, a month later, there's a Passover. I'm not going to invite you to the Passover because you're not rooted, because you might go ahead and take it, and all of a sudden listen to a Sarnetta video, and I believe Sarnetta and some of them guys is in the dream too, that I had with all of these different camps. But you might listen to a Sarnetta video, and you might say, I ain't an Israelite no more. So you ate the Passover unworthily. Now that's what happened with Sarnetta. He was invited, I believe, 2 years in a row to the ISUPK Passover. So he ate the Passover unworthily. He didn't understand the Passover, and I guarantee you, he ate leaven the rest of the week. Guarantee you, because you have to be grounded in this thing. So it might be a year you studying constantly, you totally into this thing. So the next year the Passover come around, you ready for the Passover. So, when the IUIC pushes that law stuff, they're going off. Not knocking them for pushing the law, but it's about faith first. It's about believing. And see, another thing that they do is they'll tell men that believe, if you have a wife, they got to believe too. Well, then what if the wife doesn't believe, but to please a man, she'll fake it, shalom, shalom, and all that. Go to the Passover, but she really doesn't believe it. So you can't force people to believe this truth. That goes back to the Spanish Inquisition. They were forcing people to accept Christianity. If you didn't accept it, you were put to death. You were tortured. It says, whosoever cometh, give me a second. Let me come back to this. I'm rambling. Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, meaning read the book the right way, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man. Give me a second. Let me try something. Okay. Yes. He is like a man which built an house and digged deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood arose, tribulation arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. So that's us. When we've been saying that the MOTB is the charagma, and we haven't changed. We haven't budged from that. We go back to 2012, 2010, 2014. We haven't budged from it. Now, how many times did Bishop Netanyahu, General Netanyahu, how many times did he change this thing? More than once. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation builded a house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Now I want to try something. It should kind of maybe it's mocked. Oh, there it is. There it is. 14. It says, and whosoever doeth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciples. Scriptures say, speak about bearing the cross daily, daily. Um, for which of you intending to build a tower, or in this case a house, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it. That goes into you individuals that turn your back. Every last one of you that turn your back on this thing, went back into the world, or stop doing the work, every last one of you, you're going to get correct. If you're living up to that point, you're going to get a karagmed and you're going to get destroyed. Just plain and simple. I'm giving you the straight skinny. It said, less happily after he had laid the foundation. So what is the foundation? Our foundation is this, that we are the Israelites, that the 12 tribes sign are the rest of the Israelites scattered North, Central, and South America and throughout the world. So obviously you got so-called black Africans that are actual Israelites. You got Chinese in Hong Kong and around the world in China that are Israelites. You got Russians that are actually Israelites. Yeah, but that looked like a white man. That Russian looked like Woody Harrelson. Well, guess what? That Russian could be an Israelite. What else? Esau, not Japhet. You got some groups that say Japhet are the white men. They don't know what they're talking about. They're on the low level. That's old school Hebrewism, Hebrew Israelism. So our foundation, yeah, the house is as strong as its foundation. Our foundation is a 12 tribes chart. Esau, as the descendants of Esau are white people. We go into the other nations, Ham and Ishmael and so forth. We teach that the scriptures speak about the sword, and my sword shall be bathed in heaven as the missiles. We speak about the chariots of Israel, which are the UFOs. We go into the high holy days, and the Sabbath is based upon the new moon. The new moon is not on the full moon, but when the moon is dark, which IUIC used to teach, but they reversed themselves. They turned it back on the plow. And what one of the newer prophecies is that's getting ready to come to pass is the MOTB. I keep saying that. I'm sounding like a broken record. Is the MOTB. That's why Chuck, whatever your name is, that's why we keep teaching it, because it's right around the corner. And Jake has a what is it? How you say it? A small attention span. You tell them something and you don't say it for 2 days, they'll forget. That happened when we went out to the wilderness. The first generation of babies, the first generation, they knew that they were supposed to circumcise their sons, and they didn't circumcise their sons. And Joshua got mad and made them circumcise their sons. So if you don't keep that whip on them, so to speak, they're going to do what they want to do. Like going back to the IUIC, they let men come in there with long hair, where the scriptures clearly state that long hair upon a man is a shame unto the men. So the men had to cut their hair off, that long hair. They couldn't wear coverings. You got individuals that's wearing coverings. This guy, Deacon the car, said, somebody asked about why you got your head covered. This is recently. And he said, well, that only applied to the men in the church of Corinth. It didn't apply to other churches. And when I heard that, man, it says time to go to another video. I said, I'm not even going to ponder on that. He said that only applied to the church. No, that applied to all the churches if they were doing it. It says, less happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, and all that And all that beheld it began to what? Began to what? Mock him. So that's you guys that fell off. You're going to get mocked. We're going to mock you. You guys that built a weak foundation and your house starts, sinking into the ground, we're going to mock you. So IUIC, the mocking is coming. The mocking is coming. Going back to the word prophecy, I put in the word prophecy. That came up almost 100 times in the Old and the New Testament. I didn't even put in the word prophet, prophets, prophesy. All those words, prophet, prophets, prophesy, prophecy, well over 100 times, maybe 200 times in the Old Testament and New Testament. The most important man to the Lord is a prophet. So what I did on the show last night, I just said, I put in the word prophet. I said, wait a minute, it says prophesy this, prophesy that, prophesy this. I said, so how are you going to tell? What is that? 1 Corinthians 14. It said, desire spiritual gifts. It speaks about charity, but rather that ye prophesy. So Paul said the most important thing that a man of the Lord can do is prophesy. The most important, the apostles, what are their job? Their job is to prophesy. It said apostles, prophets, and teachers. What does a teacher do? If a teacher's teaching what he learned from the apostles and the prophets, he's going to prophesy. If they ask you about the charagma, now you got to go into prophecy mode. So for you to ask that question, you really don't understand the scriptures. That's why I told you under another avatar, you're not one of the elect. You're not one of the elect. You know? Because once you said that you see that the MOTB is, I'm talking about Ayathan. He's currently suspended from IUIC. I'm not going to tell you why. So he should be the last one to tell anybody to keep some law. Lord, the word law should not even come nowhere near your brain, man, at this particular point. You said back, I believe it was 2016, you said, you're right, Tahar. You're right. Under Paul, one of the Paul Kersey avatars, the handles, you said, yep, you're right. The MOTB is the. So I came back and said, and I told the story before. I said, so when you're going to tell, the leadership of the IUIC? He said, they're not ready. But he put in the word Johanna. He said, General Johanna and IUIC are not ready. Well, you should have said it anyway. Were you afraid that you were going to get kicked out? Because I would have said, look, that's what it means. Well, you're going to get kicked out. Well, goodbye. Hey, they kicked us out for teaching that Cornelius is an Israelite. And that's what they're teaching. So, he was bold in kicking us out. So the same thing going to happen with the Cornelius thing. He's going to finally see that the Cornelius, after so many years, he's going to finally see it. And you know when they're going to see it? You know when IUIC is going to see it? And they're going to say, oh, shit, GMS was right. Because GMS is the premier camp that teaches that the MOTB is what it is, how we teach it, the Quran, saying this man began to build and was not able to finish. So all of you that turn your back on the plow, you're going to catch a bad one. Or what king going to make war against another king, sitteth not down first and consult whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. So your nation strong. That's why the Romans were able to take over the known world at that time, because of their military. And they sat down and had counsel. Do we have enough soldiers? How many soldiers do we need? How many legions do we need to take down this region of land? And they said, well, the population, they sent out spies, the population is only 2,000 people. And the military is only 500. So they said, okay, well, let's send a legion out there and totally destroy them. And what they did, they said, brother, we give up. Okay, good, you give up. All you got to do is pay us a tax in the form of a tribute. Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he standeth, he sendeth the embassies, like somebody, ambassador, and desireth conditions of peace. Meaning, we know we can't beat you. You can destroy our whole nation. We surrender, and we're willing to pay you tribute. And that's what the Palestine, the Israelites had to do. They saw the power; they didn't want to get cut off as a people, so they agreed to the the tax. That's why they had a census. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsake not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple. Right, salt is good, but if the salt have lost his savior or flavor, take the best steak out there. If you give it to a person without salt on it or pepper, without seasoning it, they're going like, this is lousy. What brings the flavor of the steak out is the seasoning, the salt. That's where you get the word salary from. Salary means salt wages. Wherewith shall it be seasoned? It is neither fit for the land, nor yet for the dunghill, but men cast it out. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. So you're building the wrong foundation. And the reason why you're sticking with that foundation is because of your pride. You filled up with pride. The scripture said, destruction, pride coming before a fall. You're filled up with pride. And we're absolutely right. This is why you keep bringing up that same topic about the MOTB, because people are window shopping. Now let me go to the word prophets. Prophet. Prophet. $244 times in 227 verses. Right. This says that Abraham was a prophet. Restore that man, for he is a prophet. Talking about Abraham. Abraham was a prophet. He prophesied Egypt. And even beyond that. The Most High made Moses God unto Pharaoh and his brother Aaron his prophet. And you don't tell me that, why you always prophesying? You guys should go into the law. You sound like a wicked scribe and Pharisee. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto that prophet. And Moses was more than a prophet. Yahweh Shai was more than a prophet. John the Baptist was more than a prophet. Speaks about the false prophet. This is Moses speaking about Yahweh Shai. So Moses was a prophet, there again, and a king, and a leader. And I will raise him up a prophet among their brethren. That's Yahweh Shai. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commended him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods. Who's the king? Christ. Who's the king? Christ. We're showing you that you're going off. So we got to start using this right here. I have commanded him to speak, to speak a word in my name, speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. Here it is. There's the proof that Moses is a prophet. Deuteronomy 34:10. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Most High knew face to face. And that's also in Numbers. And when he said that, I deal with Moses face to face, he cursed Miriam, Moses' older sister, with leprosy. She turned white as snow. And that's another thing to kill that BS about the small hats being the people. That's a nation of lepers, man. That's a nation of lepers. When you turn white as snow, because they're pasty people. I worked around them. They're pasty people. And they look red because their skin is translucent. So the Most High, where does it say that the whole nation of Israel is going to be cursed with leprosy? Or there's two forms of leprosy, clean leprosy and unclean leprosy. You see an albino, a Jake, the whole family's dark. The one kid is an albino. That's a form of a clean leper, meaning that person can live amongst his family and walk and get a job and all that. And that's what you Edomites are. You're a nation of clean lepers. I mean, the list goes on and on. 1 Samuel 3, verse 20, and all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba, these are the lands, knew that Samuel was established to be a what? A prophet of Yahweh. And Samuel is got to be Abba, Elijah. And I said that years ago to the seven was all in there. And I said that, and they gave me this look, like, oh shit. Like, oh shit, that makes sense. I said, yes, it's Samuel is also Abba. Remember when I first saw Abba, the first time I saw Abba in the back of the room, I said, who is this guy? Elijah? I said, this guy looks like Elijah. Then a couple of weeks later, got back to Ariah, and Ariah kind of gave me that look. Oh, no, your eyes are open. Prophets were called seers. Seer is from the word ra'at, meaning to see. Look it up. So the most important man of the Most High is a prophet. And what does a prophet do? A prophet prophesies. A prophet prophesizes. A prophet prophesies that the king said unto Nathan the prophet. Nathan was a prophet during the time of King David. Samuel was a prophet that anointed King David. Why are you guys always going into prophecy? And why are you always speaking about the charagma? Because that's the next major event that's going to come before the changing of the guard, so to speak. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. But before that, Esau is going to come down with great wrath, meaning he's going to push that charagma. He's going to try to establish that new world order, and it's going to backfire on him. Haggai 1:1. Came the word of the Lord by Haggai, the prophet, to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, because there wasn't kings back then, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, yeah, Haggai, there's a book called the Book of Haggai. Haggai was a prophet that was contemporary with Zerubbabel, which that's King David. Zechariah 13, verse 5. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman. Because you got a lot of these guys out there that's out there on the highways and the byways teaching and doing videos, but they're not prophets. So it's just because you put on garments and you go out there on the street doesn't make you prophets. And that's mainly talking about you guys that actually fell off. And you guys that are, any of you guys that are bucking up against GMS on the prophecy of the Charagma, you guys are not prophets. You guys are not prophets. IUIC, none of you guys call yourself prophets. You're not prophets. You're not prophets. Because you would see right through it. This guy, Ayathan, Chucky boy, you're not a prophet. Because if you was a prophet, you would see, you saw it. The Most High opened your eyes to see the Charagma. You clearly saw it, but then the Most High took it back from you. So I would be scared. And you coming on the comment board talking shit. The Most High could take your black ass out, man, in a minute and make you choke on a chicken bone, man. You full of pride and you have no fear for the Most High. You lack fear because you wouldn't be coming on different sites talking shit. You'd fear the Most High. You would say in the back of your mind, well, what if GMS is right? I did, however, believe it at one time. And the reason why you no longer believed it, because you were around the IUIC and they were pushing it down your throat. And then if you say, well, what if you guys are wrong? Well, my reply is, what if we're right? That's my reply. That's my reply. Because we are right. We're right. Everything that happens with involving Israel has to be prophesied. Us going into different various captivities, mainly the main captivities, the major captivities, was all prophesied. Before we went into Egypt, it was prophesied, given a vision given to Abraham that he saw us in Egypt. Then you got some false prophets out there saying, oh, let's talk about America. It's not talking about America. It's not talking about America. Your foundation that you built for that house is going to fall. Old Testament only Israelites, they got a pop tent. As soon as the rain comes, it's going to soak that bad boy. Look, he that receiveth the prophet in the name of the prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. So you accepted, I'm talking to you at the time, you accepted the fact that the Charagma is the MOTB is the Charagma, but then you reverse yourself. So whatever reward that you were supposed to get, Mosai took it back. Oh, this cuts ISUPK. Oh, John the Baptist fell out the truth. He didn't fell out the truth. Read Matthew 11:9 on down. But what ye ought to see, a prophet, yeah, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. The Lord acknowledged John the Baptist as a prophet, but a prophet in a bag of chips, and more than a prophet. That's all I got to do, man. I said what I had to say. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.